What would you choose? Endless fame, fortune in the spotlight, or the quiet truth of love? This is a choice Johnny Depp once faced. At the height of his career, with Hollywood at his feet, he shocked the world by stepping away from everything most people dream of. He had money, fans, and the kind of stardom that never fades. Yet deep down, he was searching for something real, something no award, no contract, no flashing camera could give him. In this video, we'll uncover how Johnny chose love over fame, why that decision shook Hollywood, and what it reveals about him as a man. Stay with us until the end, because this story will make you question what truly matters in life. Welcome to Story Spot, the channel where hidden truths come alive. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so you never miss stories that inspire and surprise. Johnny Depp's journey into the spotlight didn't happen overnight, but when it began, it exploded with force that few could imagine. In his early years, Johnny was just another young man chasing a dream, moving from one small opportunity to another. He wasn't born into Hollywood privilege or wealth. He carried with him the raw hunger of someone who wanted to prove himself, and that fire quickly caught the attention of the right people. His breakout came with the television series 21 Jump Street. Almost instantly, he became the face of youthful rebellion, the heartthrob of the late 1980s, and the poster boy for teenage fans across America. Magazine covers, screaming crowds, and endless interviews followed. Hollywood saw him as its new golden star, a marketable icon who could sell out theaters and captivate the world. But Johnny wasn't satisfied with being just another pretty face on a glossy cover. Even while the money poured in, he longed for depth. The roles Hollywood offered him, charming, handsome, and safe characters, didn't reflect the kind of artist he wanted to be. He wanted to take risks, to be remembered for his craft, not just for his looks. That's why he walked away from the safety of mainstream success, and instead embraced roles that most actors wouldn't dare touch. From Edward Scissorhands to What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Johnny chose characters who were broken, misunderstood, and unforgettable. These roles gave him a reputation as a fearless actor who valued art more than fame. He was admired by critics, respected by directors, and loved by fans who saw beyond the surface. With every performance, Johnny carved a place for himself in cinema, not just as a celebrity, but as an artist. Yet, even with his creative freedom, fame was always a shadow he couldn't escape. Paparazzi followed him relentlessly. Tabloids created stories about him, some true, many false. People admired his talent, but also obsessed over his personal life, often forgetting that behind the mysterious image was a human being. Johnny often spoke about how overwhelming it was to live under constant attention. The red carpets, the flashing cameras, the endless parties. On the outside, it looked like a dream, but to him, it often felt like a cage. He had the world's attention, but what he craved was something far simpler. Peace, trust, and love that wasn't tied to his fame. Behind the glitter of Hollywood, Johnny remained a man searching for something real. While others saw the fortune and the glamour, he quietly longed for stability, for connection, for authenticity. Fame had made him one of the most recognizable faces on the planet, but deep down, he knew recognition wasn't the same as happiness. And that's where the story takes a turn. Because soon, Johnny Depp, the man the world thought had everything, would make a choice that shocked Hollywood, a choice that showed he valued love far more than fortune. Hollywood is a world built on glitter. Fame promises everything: money, recognition, influence. But it comes at a price most outsiders never see. Behind the flashing cameras and million-dollar contracts lies a system that demands total devotion. And for Johnny Depp, this became the crossroads of his life. From the outside, he had it all. Success after success, a career any young actor would envy. But inside, Johnny felt a conflict growing. His heart wanted one thing, while the machine of Hollywood pushed for another. Agents and producers reminded him constantly, stay focused on the career, don't get distracted, don't slow down. To them, Johnny wasn't just a person. He was a brand, an investment, and a money-making star. Relationships became harder. Privacy was nearly impossible. Wherever he went, paparazzi swarmed like shadows. Dinner with a loved one turned into tabloid headlines the next morning. A simple walk outside meant dozens of lenses watching his every move. For Johnny, it wasn't just tiring, It was suffocating. Hollywood had a rule. Fame comes first, love second. And if you weren't willing to sacrifice your personal life for the spotlight, the industry would remind you that someone else was ready to take your place. But Johnny wasn't wired that way. Deep down, he never chased fame for its own sake. He wanted to act, to create, to live fully, not to become a puppet of Hollywood's expectations. And as the years went by, he realized something painful. The more successful he became, the more isolated he felt. He once said in interviews that trust was the rarest thing in his world. When you're famous, people see the fame before they see the person. Was someone close to him because they loved him or because they loved the idea of him? Was the affection genuine or just another way to reach his money, his status, his fame? These questions haunted him. That's why the heart became so important. For Johnny, real love meant freedom. The freedom to be himself, without masks, without headlines, without judgment. Love meant being seen as a human being, not as a product. But Hollywood didn't understand this choice. When he prioritized relationships, when he pulled back from constant publicity, it clashed with the system's expectations. He was labeled unpredictable, even reckless. Some called him foolish for risking his career. Others admired him quietly for having the courage to step away from the endless chase of fame. This battle between the heart and Hollywood defined much of his life. He refused to let the industry own every part of him. Yes, he gave brilliant performances. Yes, he honored his craft. But he also chose to disappear at times, to live quietly, to protect the people he loved from the spotlight. And in doing so, Johnny revealed a truth most people forget. Fame doesn't heal loneliness. Fortune doesn't replace affection. Cameras may follow you everywhere, but they don't hold you when the world feels cold. At the end of the day, it isn't the awards on the shelf that matter. It's the people beside you when the lights go out. Johnny Depp understood this. And when the moment came, he made a choice that would prove once and for all that his heart mattered more than Hollywood. Every great story has a turning point. For Johnny Depp, that turning point wasn't another film, another award, or another headline. It was a person. A woman who stepped into his life and reminded him of something Hollywood could never give. Real love. By the time Johnny reached the peak of his career, he was surrounded by everything money could buy. Mansions, cars, private jets, endless invitations to the most glamorous parties in the world. On paper, it looked like perfection, but the truth was different. Those closest to him knew he carried an emptiness that no luxury could fill. Behind the charm, behind the mysterious smile, was a man searching for something deeper. That's when love found him. Not the superficial attention of fans or the fleeting thrill of Hollywood romances, but something steady, grounding, and real. When Johnny met her, the noise of Hollywood seemed to fade. For once, he wasn't Johnny Depp, the superstar. He was just a man, seen, understood, and accepted for who he was. She didn't care about the flashing cameras or the red carpets. She cared about him, the person, not the celebrity. In her presence, he found peace. He often described love in interviews as his anchor, the one thing that could hold him steady when fame threatened to sweep him away. This relationship was not just another chapter in his life. It was a chapter that redefined everything. With her, Johnny wasn't chasing roles or headlines. He was chasing moments of authenticity. Quiet mornings, laughter without cameras, the comfort of knowing that he didn't need to perform to be loved. Hollywood didn't understand. The industry thrives on control, and Johnny's decision to slow down, to step away from the machine, puzzled many. Why would one of the most bankable stars in the world choose to spend less time chasing fortune and more time focusing on love? For producers and agents, it looked like career sabotage. But for Johnny, it was survival. He valued the relationship so deeply that he started making choices that reflected it. He turned down roles that would keep him away for too long. He skipped parties that others considered essential. He even challenged the idea that success was measured by how many films you made or how much money you earned. To him, success was being able to look across the table and see the face of someone who loved you for you. What made this love so powerful was not just romance. It was grounding. Hollywood was a storm, full of temptation and chaos. But she was as calm. When scandals erupted, when rumors filled the tabloids, she reminded him of what was real. When fame became overwhelming, she reminded him that the man behind the fame was enough. And it wasn't just about comfort. This love gave him courage. Courage to say no to things everyone expected him to say yes to. Courage to live life on his own terms, even if it meant criticism. Courage to put happiness above headlines. The world was watching, of course. Some admired his choices. Fans saw a softer side of Johnny, the man who valued connection more than contracts. Others couldn't understand it. They wondered why a man at the height of success would risk it all for love. But Johnny never lived for the approval of others. His choices weren't for the industry or the critics or even the fans. They were for his heart. And that heart had found its answer. Because in the end, love wasn't just a part of his life. It was the center of it. Fame could give him applause, fortune could buy him things, but only love could give him meaning. And when he chose her, he wasn't just choosing a relationship. He was choosing to be human in a world that often forgot what humanity looked like. This was the moment Johnny Depp showed the world that no amount of fame or fortune could replace the power of love. The woman who changed everything reminded him of the simplest truth. At the end of the day, what matters most isn't how the world sees you. It's how you're seen by the one you love. And from that moment forward, Johnny would carry that choice with him. A choice that shook Hollywood, inspired his fans, and revealed the true man behind the legend. When you're one of the most famous men in the world, every move you make is under a spotlight. Hollywood doesn't let go easily. Once you become a star that everyone talks about, the industry expects you to stay on that stage forever, performing, smiling, and feeding the machine. For Johnny Depp, this demand became unbearable. He had reached a point where every success only came with greater pressure. More films, more interviews, more appearances, more expectations. Hollywood wanted him to be a product, not a person. But Johnny was different. He never wanted to be trapped by the very thing that made him a star. He often said acting was about freedom, about exploring different lives and emotions. Yet fame had turned that freedom into a prison. Every role was analyzed, every decision criticized, every personal choice splashed across headlines. The cost of fortune was heavy, and it was eating away at his peace. So he did something that shocked Hollywood. He walked away from parts of it. Johnny began turning down roles that didn't mean anything to him. Big contracts, projects that guaranteed huge profits. He refused them if they came at the cost of his happiness. Producers couldn't believe it. To them, it was madness. To Johnny, it was survival. He skipped award shows that others would die to attend. He turned down interviews designed to promote his image. He even disappeared for long stretches of time, living quietly in places far from Los Angeles. While Hollywood wanted him in the limelight, Johnny wanted silence. He wanted a life where he wasn't defined by box office numbers or the glare of paparazzi cameras. His choice wasn't easy. Walking away meant criticism. The media painted him as unpredictable, even self-destructive. Some said he was wasting his potential. Others whispered that he was afraid of losing relevance. But Johnny didn't care. He wasn't trying to prove himself to the world. He was protecting himself from it. And the more he pulled away, the clearer his priorities became. He wanted love, family, and freedom more than he wanted fame. He wanted to be remembered for his craft, not his celebrity status. Most of all, he wanted to live a life where he could breathe, laugh, and feel human without cameras documenting his every move. Of course, Hollywood didn't stop chasing him. Offers kept coming. Fortune kept knocking. But Johnny learned to say no. And in those no's was a powerful message. He refused to be owned by the industry. This wasn't about rejecting success. Johnny still loved acting. He still poured his soul into the characters he played. But he did it on his terms. If a role inspired him, he accepted it. If it didn't, he walked away, even if it meant losing millions. Walking away also meant protecting the people he loved. Fame wasn't just his burden. It became the burden of anyone close to him. Paparazzi didn't just chase Johnny. They chased his family. They invaded the privacy of the people he wanted to shield. By stepping out of the spotlight, he gave those closest to him the gift of peace. And that's what set him apart. In a world where many sacrifice everything for fame, Johnny showed that you could walk away and still be true to yourself. He taught fans that happiness isn't about wealth or recognition. It's about living in a way that feels right to your soul. For Hollywood, it was a scandal. For Johnny, it was liberation. He wasn't abandoning his career. He was redefining it. He proved that you don't have to let the world own you, even if it made you. And by walking away from the demands of fame, he gave himself the greatest gift of all, the freedom to live and love on his own terms. And soon, the world would see the full power of that choice, as Johnny placed love above everything else, even the empire he had built. For most people in Hollywood, the equation is simple. Fame equals success, and success equals happiness. But for Johnny Depp, that equation never worked. He had tasted it all: blockbuster films, staggering paychecks, global recognition, and yet none of it filled the emptiness that quietly followed him. What truly mattered to him was something far more precious, something the industry often overlooks: love. Johnny's decision to put love above fortune wasn't just a romantic gesture. It was an act of defiance against a system that demanded constant sacrifice. Hollywood told him, work more, earn more, stay in the spotlight. But Johnny's heart told him something different. Protect what really matters. And for him, what mattered most was the woman who gave him peace, the family he built, and the life he wanted to live away from flashing lights. He understood that fortune could always return. Films would continue to be made, offers would always come, and his talent would never vanish. But love, true, grounding love, wasn't guaranteed. He knew that if he lost it by chasing endless fame, no amount of money could ever bring it back. That's why he chose differently. Instead of letting fortune dictate his life, Johnny created a new kind of success for himself. One measured not in millions, but in moments. Mornings spent with his children, evenings filled with laughter rather than interviews, days when he could simply be himself without performing for the world. These were the treasures he valued more than gold. And his choice wasn't quiet. It echoed through Hollywood. People noticed when Johnny skipped award ceremonies, when he turned down high-paying roles, when he spent more time away from Los Angeles. Some accused him of throwing away his career. Others admired him, calling him brave for refusing to bow to the system. But no matter what the world thought, Johnny stood firm. To him, fortune was just paper. Love was life. This love-centered path shaped the man he became. When storms came, when scandals and challenges tested him, what carried him wasn't fame. It was a love he had built around him. It reminded him of who he was beneath the layers of celebrity. It reminded him of why he had fought so hard in the first place. Choosing love also reshaped how fans saw him. To millions, Johnny wasn't just an actor anymore. He became a symbol, a reminder that even in a world obsessed with wealth, there are still people willing to risk it all for something deeper. Fans admired him not only for his talent, but for his humanity. He showed that vulnerability wasn't weakness. It was courage. And perhaps the most powerful part of this choice was what it revealed about happiness. Hollywood often sells the dream that happiness is found on the red carpet, in the spotlight, in the applause of millions. But Johnny proved otherwise. Happiness, he showed, is found in the quiet. The touch of someone you trust, the sound of children's laughter, the freedom to live without pretending. Of course, this decision cost him. He lost roles that could have made him richer. He lost some of the constant glow of media attention. But what he gained was priceless. He gained authenticity. He gained the ability to live by his own rules. And above all, he gained love that no amount of money could ever buy. When the world looked at Johnny Depp, they saw a man who once had everything. But when he looked at himself, he saw someone who had finally understood what mattered. Not the fame, not the fortune, but the love that gave life meaning. And that's the truth that shook Hollywood. Johnny Depp chose love over fortune, and he never looked back. When Johnny Depp chose love over fame and fortune, Hollywood didn't know how to respond. For an industry built on power, profit, and image, his decision was almost unthinkable. Here was one of the most bankable stars in the world, an actor who could command millions per role, turning his back on the very system that made him a legend. And the world noticed. The media reacted first. Headlines filled newspapers and magazines. Depp steps away from Hollywood's spotlight. Johnny chooses love over career. Is this the end of an icon? Some stories praised his bravery. Others painted him as reckless. Tabloids speculated endlessly, twisting his choices into rumors and scandals. For journalists hungry for drama, it was a perfect storm, a superstar rejecting the rules of the game. But beyond the tabloids, the conversation became something bigger. Fans across the world began asking themselves the same question. Would I do the same? His decision forced people to confront a truth most avoid. What really matters in life? Is it the applause of strangers or the quiet comfort of genuine love? Many admired him deeply. To them, Johnny wasn't just an actor anymore. He was a man with courage, someone who refused to let the industry dictate his happiness. Fans flooded forums, writing messages like, "This is why we love him. He's real." Social media lit up with support, praising him for standing up against Hollywood's unrelenting pressure. Some even call him a hero, not for his roles on screen, but for his role as a man who valued the heart over the glitter of fortune. But not everyone agreed. Critics questioned his judgment. They argued that he was wasting his potential, that walking away from certain roles was a betrayal of his gift. Some fans felt abandoned, disappointed that their favorite star wasn't appearing in as many films. To them, Hollywood was his destiny, and stepping away looked like weakness. Hollywood insiders, too, had mixed reactions. Producers saw his decisions as financial risks. Agents whispered that he was difficult, unpredictable, or even self-destructive. To them, an actor who put love before career was bad for business. They couldn't understand why anyone would trade fame and fortune for something as fragile as love. But what many failed to see was that Johnny wasn't destroying his career. He was reshaping it. He still acted, still took on roles that mattered to him. But he did it on his terms, not Hollywood's. And that independence, while controversial, became part of his legend. The public's reaction revealed something profound. Johnny's choice wasn't just about him. It reflected a universal struggle, the balance between success and happiness. Millions of people saw themselves in his story. They worked long hours, chased promotions, sought approval. But deep down, they longed for love, for connection, for something real. Johnny's decision gave them permission to think differently, to believe that maybe it was okay to put the heart first. Over time, his reputation evolved. He was no longer just a mysterious actor with sharp cheekbones and unforgettable roles. He became a symbol of authenticity, someone who proved that even in the most artificial industry in the world, it was possible to live by your own truth. And for his fans, that meant more than any movie ever could. His choice reminded them that stars are human. Too, that behind the red carpets and headlines, there are hearts that beat, souls that ache, and people who, like everyone else, want to love and be loved. In the end, the public reaction was divided, but it was also powerful. Some doubted him, some admired him, but no one ignored him. His choice to put love over fortune forced the world to talk, to question, to reflect. And that, in many ways, was his greatest impact. Because Johnny Depp didn't just make a decision for himself. He started a conversation for all of us, a conversation about what truly matters when the lights go down and the applause fades. At the end of the day, Johnny Depp's story isn't just about Hollywood, fortune, or fame. It's about a man who dared to choose differently. In a world that constantly demanded more of him, more films, more money, more headlines, he decided that love mattered most. His choice reminds us of a truth we often forget. Success without love feels empty. Fortune without connection feels hollow. Fame without someone to share it with feels meaningless. Johnny understood that when the camera stopped flashing, what remains isn't the applause of millions. It's the people who stand by you when no one is watching. Hollywood may never fully understand his decision, but for millions of fans, it made him more human, more real, and more inspiring than ever before. So now the question is yours. If you had to choose fame and fortune or love and peace, what would you pick? Tell us in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, share with a friend who needs to hear this story, and subscribe to Story Spot for more untold truths that inspire and surprise. Because sometimes the bravest choice isn't chase everything. It's to protect the one thing that matters most.